we have some new information about the lore in Janthir Wilds, a lot about the Kodan, and if the wizards are actually bad after all. Subscribe to the channel for more content of this. Go to my Ko-fi if you want to support me. Let's get into it. So, we have a new post talking about everything here that I just mentioned. And it's very, very interesting. It starts talking about bridging Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, from EOD to Secrets of the Obscure and beyond. To get things going, let's go look back at last year. Following the end of the Dragon Cycle, Tyria had no idea what the ramifications would be. As we learned in Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, Swan's death caused a powerful blast of magical instability that fractured all sorts of magical forces and barriers with Tyria. Irene immediately went to work reestablishing herself as a filter to those magics, and stability was quickly restored. We've only just begun to understand the consequences of that transfer, so they seem to be hinting at maybe not an actual Irene comeback, but some sort of consequence of Irene doing this in the first place. So I don't think we're really gonna bring Irene back, not now at least, because he's very, very powerful, and also they probably don't want to tie it to the whole Dragon Saga, because hey, if you are a new player and you plan to play this expansion and you think you get a lot of mentions about Irene, kinda sucks, because you will have to play the entire saga beforehand, the Dragon Saga, which is multiple expansions, so it wouldn't really be a good idea, right? Right at the sunset of Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, the commander was thrown into uncharted territory. We learned about the World Spire. A powerful conduit forged by the wizards Isgaren was fractured following the blast. Despite the Spire was one of the few barriers stringing between us and potential calamity, and it only took a moment for the denizens of a parallel realm to worm their way in, and thus the commander was introduced to the long-fought war between the Astral World and the Cryptis. And this one they start talking about what happened in Secrets of the Obscure, and we're gonna see something very interesting about the wizards actually here. With the story of Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, the commander aids the Astral World in rescuing the Wizard's Guard, while toppling the malevolent Cryptis King Eparch. While the fight against the Cryptis was won, there has a lot of stories left to be told about our Weasley new friends, so they're definitely gonna make, the Wizards will definitely make an appearance in the new expansion, which is honestly something that I was not expecting as much. The fact that they're saying this here with such an emphasis on it, it's a bit questionable, because one of this, as we were talking before, one of the strengths of the new expansion model is that each expansion is self-contained, so you don't need to play the last one in order to understand the new one. But if you put too many things about the wizards, that might actually not be the case. Also, Secrets of the Obscure in terms of lore and story was not very popular, so tying this new one with the actual wizards might be a mistake. Well, it definitely will depend on how they actually manage it, but we will see. The Astral World has proven to be a worthy ally with a benign cause, but we've barely touched the surface of some of their more questionable choices, not to mention their cantankerous leader Isgaren. We know they helped in some ways, but why didn't they get involved sooner? Where do we even start with the Fractal fiasco? And that's actually true. Wizards, and especially Isgaren, could have helped us through the entire Dragon Saga. He helped us against Eparch literally at the end. Like, what is happening here? Why is he doing these things? What is his real motives? Also, we got things like, the Eye of Janthir happening, being in Eparch's room. Who knows? Maybe Isgaren was using it to monitor the whole thing. We really don't know anything of this, right? So, there's a lot of stories here and this actually has been one of the things that a lot of people have complained about in Secrets of the Obscure. This has answers that, those questions that have not been answered. So, what is that about? Are they bad? Are they evil? Are they just, selfish? Well, we're gonna have to see, right? Time to pull us back to the present. While the commander, now the Wayfinder, was fighting back against Eparch in Naos, the threat of the Cryptis didn't go unnoticed by the rest of Tyria. In fact, that threat was very much noticed, and nations started talking. At the start of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds, the commander will receive an invitation to the inaugural meeting of the Tyrian Alliance, and oh boy, do they have a lot of thoughts about our latest demonic invaders. After everything the world has endured, Tyria's patience with destruction is limited. So it seems like people may not like the fact that we actually went and helped the wizards, and also probably didn't like the fact that we, in some ways, kind of saved the Cryptis as well. So definitely there's going to be some interesting things with that happening. We can see Queen Jenna and Count Anise right there as well. So maybe they will be, the ones who are against us. Who knows? While we want to keep some of the minutiae surrounding the Tyrion alliance under our hats for now, including our lavish host of guest appearances, in addition to providing the player with a new directive, the alliance also gives us the ability to demonstrate Tyrion's growth outside of the main story path. What's happening within the rest of the world? How are things progressing when we're in the thick of adventure? The Greater Janthir region. One of the results of the first Tyrion Alliance meeting will send the commander in a very small team of allies into the dangerous wilds of the Janthir region. Starting due north of Divinity's Reach over the Christian border, the initial focus of our mission is to establish a diplomatic connection with a small faction of Kodan. And this is actually very interesting. We know now where the actual map is going to be. Viewers 2 map. I should have opened the game, but probably going to be exactly around here. They just said Divinity's Reach, north of Divinity's Reach. We were right to think that the Delta Bog was right there. I'm just happy about that because, hey, I said this from the start, from the first leak, and I was right. Feels good. So it's obviously that we're gonna go here. I wonder if we're gonna start from the right side here where, what is the word? That map, the Living Room Season 3 map. Yes, I forgot the name. Lake Doric. I wonder maybe we're gonna go through there to here, or maybe through here. Probably Divinity's Reach. That sounds a bit alright, honestly. Divinity's Reach is a cool city, and a lot of people are there all the time, so might as well do it from here. Ideally, I would really be happy if this is like a diagonal thing here, so we don't get teleported from here to here, but instead it's just like this whole like rectangle diagonally is the thing that we're gonna play with. Huge map. We'll see though. But yeah, that would be very immersion. Well, that would be good for immersion. It would not be immersion breaking. That's my idea, at least, though. We'll see, definitely. Part way through the story, we'll be pulled even further into Janthir. That's when we will make our way into the Isles themselves, the base rich with history, bloody, brutal, sullen history. And we've never strayed too close until now. We know that Saul and his fledgling White Mantle went to the Isles in search of something, leaving the Eye of Janthir. We also know that the other conspicuous figures have ventured into the region too. On the first island we reach, Janthir's sentry will begin to unravel the tragic story behind the ruined village of Gabriel. So it seems like there is actually some, kind of scary, bloody, Cambroli, like Vura Marches kind of vibe, something like that. Pretty cold, I'm guessing. Obviously, they're talking about bears as well. Maybe the bears are going to be a bit evil. Maybe they're going to have evil bears. Maybe they have sacrifices. Who knows? Because I think someone mentioned this in my stream. The Morsat were actually doing human sacrifices to keep the Titans in bay. Are the bears going to be doing the same thing? Are they going to use us, the humans, to keep sacrifices? Is maybe the Astral World going to do that with the bears? Who knows? There's actually a lot of things that could happen here. And considering the fact that they're talking about the Wizard's Vault, the Wizard's Tower, and the Wizards being a bit maybe evil or maybe not, morally right, who knows? Maybe they're going to be doing something sketchy in order to get those Titans to chill out, right? And not attack us. And if you want to see more about the Titans and all the story behind the Janthir Wilds, I would heavily recommend to go watch Laranity's video on it. It's very, very good in order to get you up to speed to what's happening in Janthir Wilds. The Lowland Kodan. One of the most exciting things to dig into has been our new faction of Lowland Kodan, who have called Janthir home for many generations. Despite the region being viciously dangerous and inhospitable, they are experts survivalists and have carved out a comfortable, even cozy way of life in these lands. All Lowlanders are capable fighters and learn survival tactics from the time they are cubs. The Wayfinder will spend much of their time in Janthir learning about and learning from the Lowlanders, as they have much to teach. As a population isolated from their northern Kodan cousins for so long and living in a much different environment, they are a little different than the Kodan we are familiar with. Perhaps the most notable difference lies in their spiritual belief system. Unlike other Kodan who revere the will and balance of Koda, the Lowland Kodan hold in reverence to the environment, the relationship they maintain with it, and the responsibility they have as stewards of the land. And this is actually very interesting because if you guys don't know, Kodan, and the ones we have seen before here, these little polar bear guys, they're a bit different than we, right? As you can see here, they currently live in close communities, open their sanctuaries, acting in concert and living in peace. The Kodan are not without disputes and disagreements, but they consider themselves above most interpersonal conflict. To them, balance is more important than an individual's needs and the will of their god, Koda, which is, well, this is the god and he's the Kodan essentially are a little bit like, they have like this weird hierarchy. They don't really think about emotions that much. That's why while we talk to them in Frostguard Sound, it seems like they're almost like above us, and they're like, they don't really care about us too much. You can actually talk to them and whatever, but they're very closed down in that regard. And they have a little big hierarchy between the Koda and the Koda, the god, and the way they communicate to the Kodan. Koda communicates with the Kodan through a voice of Koda. A Kodan who is spoken to seek and interpret the will of Koda. Koda's will, as translated by a voice and represented to the Kodan through a claw, so a claw of Koda, supersedes any single Kodan's wishes. Koda is said to periodically create a time of trial to test their spirituality and the strength of the Koda in a sanctuary by infecting a voice with an insanity called Rage of Koda. When the infected voice dies, the Kodan believes the Koda himself has examined them, purified of all sin, and everything has been judged and set to order. So pretty weird, right? But apparently these Kodas are not actually that way. They're way more chill. They're more normal for us. And well, they're gonna be more cozy, I guess. Rather than viewing themselves as enlightened protectors chosen by Koda, Lowlanders act out of a duty to maintain necessary balance in a harsh place where taking is easier than giving and survival can be difficult. But this environment has made them this way. These differences trickle down through other aspects of their society. Kodan leadership is typically a partnership between a spiritual mouthpiece of Koda, called a voice, and a physical protector called a claw, what we said before. However, the Lowland Koda have a claw as their sole leader, a feature of their society that goes back as far as anyone can remember. The claw is not without balance, though a council that represents key roles in the village lends the claw perspective and advice. So a bit of an easier hierarchical structure here. As the Wayfinder spends more time with the Lowland Kodan and begins to earn their trust, we'll gain more glimpses into their lives and their history as denizens of Janthir. Heading into north of Janthir, the inhabitants of Tyria are the cusp of the new era. It's time for nations to ally and work together on a more global scale. Those seeds of alliance were planted under the threat of the Elder Dragons, but the need did not end with the Elder Dragon. As a new threat rises, it's good to have friends on your side. What better place to start with than people living next door? The Lowland Koda might prove to be valuable allies if you can earn their trust and convince them it's worthwhile to join the global conversation. We're so excited to be able to give some first looks into the narrative of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds. There's so much more fun, exciting lore and history to dig into and build upon with new histories and their characters. We can't wait for you to experience it all. And that's the end of the thing. Very interesting stuff, good amount of lore. It's not the biggest, most insane thing, but it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a peek on what it is gonna be about. I'm very happy that they're actually telling us a little bit about this instead of just, usually what they do, which is not telling us anything because they're scared of spoilers. Makes me very excited about the game. Of course, we also have the PvP in War's World, live stream and all the information that we got today as well. So double news this week. I was kind of scared that we're not going to get anything, but apparently we are, and there's a lot of things to talk about. We're definitely going to be talking about that. I already made a video about that, and we're going to do more. Hopefully, if there's more information that we can get, or if I think of any theories because of this lore post, I'll definitely make a video about it. So subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support me and my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live, and see you guys around. Love you all. Bye bye.